Hi there. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, I want to do something a little different. This is a reflection episode. So, once in a while, I'll do these reflections where I invite you to think about something an idea, a topic, a concept. I'll invite you to think about how it relates to your own life and what lessons we can take from it. I really believe that being self aware takes a lot of work. It takes stopping long enough to really consider things that we may not pay attention to otherwise. And this is crucial for becoming more emotionally intelligent, self aware, and purposeful human beings. So, in this episode, let's reflect on what's been keeping you stuck.
You're listening to the Driven Introvert podcast, a faith inspired space for purposeful introverts who are ready to step out with courage and pursue their big ideas. If you are an introvert who is tired of letting fear dictate what you do and how you do it, then this podcast is for you. I'm here to remind you that the life and work you've dreamed about is possible, and your unique personality is not a limitation to achieving it. I'm your host, Remy Roy, and I'm the co-founder of shepact.com. On this podcast, I'll feature introverts and others with unique perspectives on what it means to follow dreams, passionately build out ideas, and live a life that matters. Expect inspiring conversations, resources, reflections, and stories on faith, life, and work.
In episode 1 of the podcast, I asked the question, what is one thing you've always wanted to do, but haven't got around to doing yet? I know that there's a dream in your heart that you think about. There is a dream in that heart. There is something, maybe an idea that's been floating around, and you think, I can do this. I should be able to do this. I want to do this. I desire to do this. But somehow you haven't been able to take that step. I totally understand being in that position. Feeling stuck is a universal experience. Whether it's in our careers, relationships, or personal growth, the sensation of being unable to move forward can be overwhelming. But we cannot stay there. The longer you stay stuck without doing anything proactive to get you out, the harder it will be down the line. And I really believe the first step I have found for me towards breaking free of that cycle of feeling stuck is really understanding what is holding you back. What is keeping you from making progress on that dream, that idea, or in that particular area of your life? So, in this reflection episode, I just want to set out some time for you to reflect, to think, to consider. Now, before we dive in, let's talk about reflection because I think it's important for us to get the concept here. I know that for many people, reflection is not an easy thing to do. I've been talking about reflection for a while. I even wrote a book about it, a journal called This Is Me, a journal for creative reflection. And through that work, I realized that a lot of people find it difficult to reflect. It's not an easy thing to do. There might be so many reasons for this, but I think there are two main reasons for me that rise to the surface. Number one, we don't like to be with our thoughts for too long. We don't like to be quiet for too long. We just want to keep moving. We want to stay active. We want to be around all the people doing all the things. It's almost like we're afraid of what we'll find if we dig too deep. But really, there's no other way to grow. Taking time for yourself to reflect and think and consider is one of the most clarifying things you can do for your own self growth and improvement, and to become more self aware. And really, the more self aware you are, the more you can identify areas of improvement, and then your life is better and more fulfilled because you're actively engaged in making it so. This is not a passive process, it's not something you can outsource to someone else. So, number two, another reason I believe we don't reflect is we're too busy. We have so many things going on, we're doing so many things is vying for our attention. It is really hard to slow down, and I get it. It's hard to really step away from the busyness of life, the noise, the constant action to really reflect and think. I'm actually having to navigate this in my current season too. I'm feeling like I'm not clear on how to move forward on certain things, and it has really got me thinking, reflecting, and praying really hard. And I'm thankful to God for the wonderful women He sent my way this season. There's so many amazing people helping me really decipher what my next level is. But I want to create that space for you in this time to reflect while you're listening to this episode. Whether you're on a commute going to work or coming back from work, maybe you're in the gym, you're taking a run or walk, whatever. I hope that the next few minutes in this episode, you can just take the time to think and reflect and begin to piece apart some of the things that maybe you haven't thought about in a long time. All right, let's get into it. Say you have a dream or idea that you're excited about. It's a deep desire of yours, but somehow, year after year, you haven't been able to get any closer to getting started on it. I'll take a wild guess and say you're probably feeling kind of stuck. Again, this is a very common experience. So, what does it really mean to be stuck? Let's start there, right? I think being stuck means you're not able to take action or take steps to move forward or see any tangible progress in any particular area of your life. It can also be mental and emotional, the feeling of not being able to just have the strength to move forward, to do anything new or exciting, to take action on something that maybe in your heart you really want to do, but somehow you're not able to muster the courage to do it. Here are some things I've heard people say when explaining this feeling. Quote, I feel like I'm just going through the motions, the same thing day in and day out. Nothing feels exciting. Or I'm bored. Or if only I knew what God wants me to do, if only He will tell me. Does any of this resonate with you? Let me just say, I feel you. I've been you and I am you. But if you really lean into these reflections, I strongly believe that you will begin to see a change to your outlook on life. So, what I really want to lay out in this episode is I want to lay out some reasons you might be feeling stuck and also pose some reflection questions that I want you to consider. I want you to really think about it. I'm not going to prefer any specific solutions because one, I don't know your specific situation. And two, this is a reflection session. It's a time to reflect, answer questions without judgment, without shame, so that you can get to the root of whatever is holding you back. It's the first step. I've broken this down into 6 categories. I want you to consider if any of these resonate with you. Number one reason you might be feeling stuck is overwhelm. Are you overwhelmed with choices, options of what is possible, but then you freeze because you don't know which route to take? Are you overwhelmed by the responsibilities of your life, the things you have to do, the people you have to care for, and you have almost no brain space to think of anything else? You're not able to think of dreaming or doing something exciting, something new, something innovative, chase those dreams because you have a lot going on. Think about that. Number 2 is a lack of clarity. Have you ever said, if only I knew what to do, I'll just go ahead and do it? If only God would tell me what He wants me to do, I won't waste a second, I'll step out and start to do it. Or maybe you've wondered, what even makes me special? What talents, gifts, skills, or strengths do I have that can make a difference in anybody's life? Maybe you do know that it's something you should be doing. You might even have a general idea, but the specific has you stumped. I am in the trenches with you. Right now, I have a general idea on how to move my business forward, but the specifics, the details, I certainly need some clarity on that. Do you feel the same way? If any of this resonate with you, you might be dealing with a lack of clarity. Number 3, a lack of guidance. Do you sometimes wish you had someone to show you the ins and outs of something? Maybe your industry, your business, or ministry. Do you wish you knew how people found success and opportunities in the things you're really dreaming about? Or maybe you just wish you had someone to talk to about your ideas, someone to give you some sort of perspective. Think about that. Number 4 is fear. Do you ever wonder if someone like you can do the thing you've been dreaming about? Maybe you feel, am I even smart enough, connected enough, bold enough to be the one that people want to listen to or take seriously? Do you wonder if stepping out now will cost you something? Maybe it'll cost you support, friends, current opportunities that you have, and maybe you don't really want to lose that. Do you wonder if taking a leap of faith will be worth it? You wonder, will it even make sense? Or maybe you wonder if it's too late for you to chase dreams at this time of your life. You might be dealing with fear, some deep seated fears that you need to sort out. Number five is overthinking. Are you the person who has plans laid out, the research done, but no specific action taken? Maybe you know how the business, the industry, or the idea you're passionate about works in theory, but you haven't done it for yourself. Have you gotten just shy of getting started, but you're still waiting on one last bit of information that you need before you take that step? You might be overthinking the whole thing. Number six is a lack of discipline. No judgment here, friends, but do you enjoy the process of telling your friends and family about your idea, but never actually doing it? Do you find yourself falling back to scrolling social media, watching TV hours on end instead of doing the work and the research you said you would do? Have you put the same thing on your reminder and your calendar for weeks and months, but you never get to do it, even though you do have some free time? Again, no judgment. Does any of these questions make you go, yeah, that's me? I really encourage you to not immediately jump to thinking of an excuse for why you haven't done the thing. That's not the point of this. Lean into this. Hopefully, your end goal is to actually begin to live in the reality of the dreams and goals God has placed on your heart, not to prove to anyone that you can do it or why you haven't done it. Identifying what's keeping you stuck is a great first step to the breakthrough that you really need. And I really do hope these reflections help you get started. It's a starting point. When you realize the things that are holding you back, then you can begin to take action. Maybe your next step is getting someone to talk to, maybe a coach, maybe a friend, somebody who understands you or who knows the thing that you're trying to do or who's been there to give you some perspective to get you started. Like I said, I really do hope these reflections help you get started to think about what might be keeping you stuck so that you can overcome them. God has a plan for you. It has something in your future that He wants you to reach for, but it's going to take your active participation. In continuously feeling stuck and not being able to move forward, it's not going to serve the purpose that God really wants for you. So I encourage you, lean into this, and I hope things work out for you. This episode, I don't have an official from the pods since it's a reflection episode. However, I do want you to check out an episode of the Christine Kane's Life and Leadership podcast. This particular episode is titled Q&A with Christine Kane, Part 3, How to Live with Purpose. I listened to this episode and there's so many gems that will give you more insight and encouragement for your own journey. A lot of the times we feel like we need to go from A to Z in one fell swoop, but that never happened. Life is step by step. You take one step, you don't know how it's going to lead to the next thing, but somehow because you're diligent, because you keep doing it, you will find your next step. I encourage you to listen to that episode, and it will just encourage you on this whole idea of stepping out and doing the things that you know that God has called you to do. All right, I'd love to hear from you. What discoveries are you making from these reflections? I hope you lean into it, and don't forget to keep reflecting, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Driven Introvert podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to click the follow button on your podcast app or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As always, don't forget to take courage, trust God, and go pursue your big ideas. See you next time. The Driven Introvert podcast is produced by shepack.com and Remy Roy, with content, editing, and strategy expertise from Candice Zakaria and Aishat Olariwaju. Want to ask a question or share a comment on a future episode? Email us today at thedrivenintrovert@shepack.com or click on the link in the show notes to record your question in a voicemail.
Hey, friend, do you know your strengths? I know you want to live a fulfilling life, right? You want to feel like your life is your own and not like you're in the wrong movie acting the wrong part. But do you know your strengths? Are you operating from your strengths at work and in your calling? Or does everything feel hard and like a chore? I know what it feels like to not know where you belong. And for me, discovering my strengths and really taking steps to deploy them effectively has been very crucial to helping me feel more fulfilled and excited about life. If this resonates with you, if you'd like to find out more about your strengths, I have a free gift for you. It's called the Uncover Your Strengths Free Guide. In this guide, you'll find tools, tests, and resources to help you find your strengths. There'll be space in there to write down your discoveries. There'll be reflection questions to help you dig deeper, and prayers to help you seek the Lord for wisdom on how to move forward. I hope you lean into this. I hope you not only download this guide, but also use it, grow, and be empowered to pursue your next steps in faith, work, and life. You can get it today at shepact.com/strengths. The link will also be in the show notes. That's shepact.com/strengths.